Can a Christian attend different churches at the same time? This is a little different than church hopping to find a church that's home for you. This is someone who considers multiple churches their home. And let's face it, the current pandemic has made this very possible because Sunday church for a lot of people is just to go onto a YouTube link. And so it's very easy then to piecemeal church experiences together. You might go to one church for their sermons, another church for their care groups, and a third church for their worship. But is this good? Is this right? There's a video I want to show that kind of talks about the different trends of church in 2020. Now I know it's 2022, but these are certainly relevant for us. So let's check it out.
Here are 3 of the top trends in the U.S. church today, according to the study. Number 1, people are church hopping. About 40% of churchgoers say that they attend multiple churches on a regular basis. Number 2, churchgoers have mixed views on the value of church. While many attend Sunday worship for personal enjoyment, others report that they feel bored with traditional church and hope for something more engaging or emotional. And number 3, churchgoers of the boomer generation are more likely than Gen Xers or millennials to be formal members of their congregation.
So those are the 3. Did you catch them? Number 1, people are joining multiple churches. Number 2, traditional churches too boring for people. And number 3, young millennials are less likely to be members of a church. This is a common sentiment. So this is a page that's about, the question is it okay to attend 2 different churches? And one of the responses, which I think is very telling and indicative of what people's attitude, is this: it's fine to attend 2 different churches. Different churches can provide you with different benefits. I used to attend 2 churches. One gave me more spiritual benefits. The other gave me more social benefits. Do what benefits you. Don't worry about what people say. So this is the sentiment that people have towards church. But I want to argue that it's very important that we commit to just one church. And I would begin this conversation by asking this one question: is there a difference between an audience and a congregation? What is that difference? See, to me, a congregation is where everybody has meaningful participation, where it's a body of people that has a deep commitment to one another, and where individuals within that congregation take up ownership and partnership. I think I say this because I've experienced a lot of this just leading my own care group, and some of you are care group leaders as well. You have some people that just come in and out, but they never fully commit. But then there are those who are within the community who are committed and are taking up ownership. And there's something that's very beautiful about that, right? But what's the Bible say about this? Because the Bible doesn't explicitly say that you have to be a member of just one church. You're not going to find that. But there are different passages that lead many leaders to really implement this thing called church membership. Now, the first is in Matthew 18, verse 17, which basically says, if your brother or sister sins, go out and point out their fault just between the 2 of you. If they listen to you, you've won them over. But if they will not listen, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church. And if they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector. And here is the first principle of why it's so important to be a part of a local community. It's because of church discipline. How are we supposed to enact church discipline within this community if we don't truly know if people are a part of the community or not? Another verse says this, 2 Corinthians 2, verse 5 and 6. If anyone has caused grief, he has not so much grieved me as he has grieved all of you to some extent, not to put it too severely. Verse 6, the punishment inflicted on him by the majority is sufficient. Here's the question. Who is the majority? He's talking to the Corinthian church, but they obviously had some semblance of an idea of who the majority was and who's part of their body. So why church discipline? Because I think discipline, if you think about it in any relational way, is one of the ways that we grow. You discipline your kids so that they won't make the same mistakes or that they will learn lessons, right? And the very same thing is true in our spiritual life. We have church discipline so that we can grow in our relationship with God. And if you are not committed to a specific community, that discipline is sort of powerless, to be frank. The second and more important reason, though, for church committing to one community is in Hebrews 13, verse 17. Have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority, because they keep watch over you as those who must give an account. This is being accountable to your leaders, and also for your leaders to be accountable to you. So you know that I'm a pastor. How will I know who to keep accountable for? I must give an account before the Lord, right? And so it'll be very important for me to know who it is that I watch over. And I know when I say submit yourselves to authority or be accountable to authority, and a lot of you will be like just not want any of that. But think about the reason for it. It's actually, again, for your growth. When you submit yourselves to an authority, you can grow in greater Christ-likeness. And this is what it all boils down to. Whether it's about church discipline or being accountable to your leaders, it is about growing in Christ-likeness. See, I don't believe that spiritual growth can come just from listening to great sermons or watching a great worship service. I think true intentional spiritual growth to becoming more like Jesus Christ involves discipline and accountability. And my question to you is that truly possible if you never commit yourselves to a community?